Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe tonight with this ongoing winter storm, this nasty ice storm affecting millions of people, and the severe weather threat. I think it's going to begin to die down a little bit here in the coming hours. But there was a couple reports of some tornadoes down in Alabama today, and I saw some damaged pictures, damage to property. So I hope you guys are faring well down there too, and I hope everybody is doing okay this evening. So in this video, we are going to talk a little bit about the ongoing storm, but I want to remind you guys that this is an ongoing thing. There's a lot of people who do the weather on YouTube that can do these live streams and things like this. And I'll be honest with you guys. You know, I can't help but to look at these other YouTubers that do these things, and I think, man, it would really be cool if I could do something like that. But I can tell you guys, I do plan on doing something like that in the future. There's one or two reasons why that I can't. One, I have a full-time job, so it's not like I can just sit down for 8 or 9 or 12 hours straight. And two, being the fact that my setup just isn't efficient enough to consistently feed y'all a live stream. So I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to storm chasing with you guys and really doing a vlog type setup. I'm just looking forward to the future opportunities in general, guys. I really am. I don't want to ramble on too much, but the main part of this video is what we're going to do is we're going to break down what's going on between now and through about midway point of the month. I'm starting to see signals that are there for an active pattern for frequent cold shots, and then maybe some moisture that links up with it. So there's definitely a favorable pattern there, but there's some things to talk about what we don't have working in our favor and what we do. So that's what we're going to do in this video. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Like the video if you like it. My social media links are over here. It's a great way to stay up to date with the latest information. I'm trying to hit 10,000 likes on my Facebook. That's a big goal of mine. I know most people have Facebook as opposed to Twitter, so definitely hit me up on Facebook, guys, and appreciate the amazing support. I really do, guys. Like I said today, I was thinking so much on where I want this channel to go, and man, it's just I'm very passionate about this, and I wish I could just snap my fingers and it could just happen right now. But I know I got a long ways to go, and I'm looking forward to the growth and the family atmosphere that I have on my channel. But here we go. Over 2 minutes in. I know a lot of people don't like me rambling, but over 2 minutes in, and here we go. This is what we got going on. Winter weather alerts. Winter storm warning still up for the same areas we talked about this morning. Ice storm warnings. You got tornado watches up for the south. You got flood watches up for areas. A lot of heavy rain expected into North Georgia tonight and actually moving into the state now. But we'll take a look at the Northeast. What's going on? We're going to start this at about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And nothing's really changed. There's going to be a lot of sleet somewhere where you see the purple. And it's almost impossible to predict exactly where it's going to happen. But all we do know that there's going to be a lot of interior snow, and this is happening right now, and it's going to continue to happen as we're waking up tomorrow morning. But as we're getting up to tomorrow morning, getting into Boston, y'all might start getting some icing issues. Y'all got winter weather advisories right now. Might be maybe some ice and some sleet, but as this precipitation pulls away, I think there's going to be maybe some, not significant necessarily, but there's going to be some moderate ice accumulations in areas of southern New England, especially just off the coast. But this moisture pulls away as you're getting into tomorrow evening, and some lingering freezing drizzle up in Cape Cod. And, I really think a lot of these areas are just going to get a washout where all this heavier snow just fell. But we look at the down here in the south. I feel like I haven't talked about you guys a lot lately. But us folks in the south, we're getting into the evening hours. I think an area of really heavy rain is going to start moving into North Georgia this evening. This will continue, and that's why you got flood watches up for these areas. And then we'll have to see how much these storms hold together overnight. I think upstate South Carolina into the Piedmont of North Carolina could really have a rocky night. Not really any kind of severe weather outbreak, but I would not be surprised if y'all heard a rumble of thunder overnight in areas of the Carolinas into North Georgia. And this keeps on moving, and then we wake up tomorrow morning, and there might be some heavier showers and storms in areas of Georgia and the Carolinas, but I don't think there's much to really write home about, and I don't think there's going to be much of a severe weather part of it. So we'll get into talking about what it looks like getting deeper into February. So the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, this carries from the 11th to the 17th, which is basically the time frame of mid-month February. Below average temperatures showing up, chances of below average temperatures. Not necessarily it will happen, but there is chances of below average temperatures for basically everybody in the eastern U.S. and portions of the central U.S. So we got that going for us for anybody who wants more cold weather. If y'all want my opinion, I would like to have another big-time winter storm again before we wrap this up. I obviously don't want anything damaged or power loss or anything, but it'd be nice to get just a nice old snowstorm that doesn't cause any major issues. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. We'll look at the latest GFS. Let's check out what this looks like this evening. So we'll get this system moving on out of the way. It's going to get kind of quiet. Now, this was the tricky system right here that we were thinking maybe could throw some wintry, some frozen precipitation into the Carolinas. It's been suppressed so far, but what you have to watch here is now there's something else developing. We're getting into Monday morning. Here comes a system. It's a sneaky system. It's been showing up on the models today. It's too warm outside the mountains, but maybe the mountains could get some wet snow out of this, and then the low pressure develops. And this has been trending north. In fact, you back it up 4 runs, and it pretty much wasn't there. You back it up all the way to the previous run. Let's back it up from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's trending north. So you got to watch out for the big cities along the I-95 corridor. You never know. This could trend into a sneaky winter storm or just system in general. But right now, you know, I don't see that happening, but it could. It could. But watch out with this system Monday. I think there's going to be a cold rain potential across the Carolinas and maybe some snow. And then watch out, you know, for the most northwest portion of the rain shield right here. It could be cold enough to mix with a little bit of snow in the Delmarva area. But this is a bunch of ifs right now. We need some more model guidance. But I can tell you the GEFS ensembles do support a little bit of snow right into this area. So we'll see how that happens. After that, it gets real quiet. We get into next week, get into late next week. We might get a cold shot. Here comes a clipper that dives down, gives areas of the Ohio Midwest and the Ohio Valley some snow. We're getting into next weekend. Now we're starting to get into Valentine's Day weekend. Big cold shot moves in. At the same time, you have this piece of energy that develops, and then you have this low pressure that develops. Now this is just one run, but I will show you this. This is the 4-run trend. And then we'll go all the way to the present run. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's been consistent in what I would say is the long range. Once you get past 200 hours out, to me, that's the long range. Once you get under 200 hours out and you have a signal showing up consistently, that's when I can consider that in the medium range. But you check this out right here. Low pressure right here. Piece of energy right here. This is really close to coming together and being a big-time system. But it's 10 days out, so it's hard to take serious. It really is. Very hard to take this serious, but it's something that we're watching, and a lot of people are watching this time frame, talking about the 12th through the 15th time frame. This would be a big storm if they were to come together, but you know, if we were looking at this as if this was going to happen, this would put snow for areas of the southeast and mid-Atlantic. But it's hard to, like I said, it's just really hard to look at that and say, oh man, this is definitely something we need to be watching because it's so far out. But if you look at the pieces of energy with this system, vigorous wave right here and a piece of energy right here, 2 short waves, and they are very close to coming together and phasing, but not quite. One gets on out here before the other scoots on in. Now you look at the European as far as what are we seeing with the European. That remember, the European only goes out 10 days, 240 hours out. Well, it's showing the same system here in the short terms we're getting in the Monday as the GFS, and it shows some little bit of snow in Asheville and the mountains of North Carolina, maybe Virginia and Tennessee. And moves on out, and it's very similar to the GFS. Very close to a storm system for the Northeast, but not quite. We get that on out the way, it gets kind of quiet. We're getting into the week. Maybe a quick system moving. Watch this little system right here. That might be something to watch in the medium term. But then here comes this clipper, which is showing up on the European also. Delivers a quick shot and maybe some moisture for the areas of the Ohio Valley. And then you look for that second system. But remember, we just don't know what is going to happen with this, but you can tell that there's a piece of energy at the same time frame, but the cold air is not there yet. So to me, this looks like a system that would probably cut across the across basically the Appalachian Mountains here. So I don't think this would work out, but it is 10 days out. There's a lot of time to work this out. I really think it is. What I want to show you here is basically ridging and troughing. So the blue is troughing, right, or where area low pressure could possibly be. I guess I can't say possibly, right, but possibly be. The red is ridging, so that's where you'll probably have warmer than average temperatures. So we're going through in time. We're getting into early next week. We're getting into Wednesday, getting into Thursday, and maybe late next week is when you start to get a solid signal for troughing in the middle of the country and in the eastern U.S. Big time ridging, we call this a positive PNA, which basically stands for ridging out west or into areas of the Pacific. When you have tall ridging out here, normally you can at least get some shots of cold air. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a big time pattern for winter weather, but I can tell you this pattern looks very, very similar to the pattern we just are kind of moving out of that we just had in January that provided multiple weekends of winter weather threats for areas of the Southeast and the Mid-Atlantic and places like that. So we're kind of entering a same pattern, but not all patterns are the same. So we don't know if this is going to deliver the same, but it's definitely something to watch. And one thing you have to watch is there going to be any kind of blocking in Greenland, which we call that a negative NAO. And really, there isn't a lot of agreement that there will be. So, but we haven't had that either. So we don't have to have it. And a lot of people think, blocking in Greenland means a ton. It helps to sustain our cold air feed, and it helps to kind of block storm systems and slow them down, if you will. And it helps a lot of things without getting deep into it. But you really need all this to come together to introduce a big-time mega pattern, if you will. But when you get this troughing, you have a chance for the southern stream to get going here, because basically the jet stream dips down here, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But basically, you look at this and you say, okay, well, we're going to have a chance of some cold fronts that moves through, which is our cold air supply. So when I look at this, I think, okay, we have a cold air supply potentially moving into late next week, into Valentine's Day weekend. So we have that, right? And it looks to stay sustained all the way through the next 10 days and maybe even longer. You look at the European ensemble, and it's the same thing. Same thing for this range. It's a little different. It's not as intense of a signal, but it still shows that ridging in the west and troughing in the east and central U.S. So to me, that would say, okay, we have a little bit of a consistent cold airflow. One thing you look at, too, is basically these are the streamlines at 250 millibars, which is basically right around where the jet stream sits. If you look at these streamlines right here, they dig here and then they shoot out. So that tells me that there's probably some kind of troughing going on here, which stands for a cold front. This gets going, and you see how you have the highlighted colors down here? To me, that kind of signals that there may be an opportunity for the southern stream to get going here, and you could have a storm system down here. Now, let's go on and flip this to 12Z because I want this run to keep going here. And you look at the 12Z run. This is for next Friday morning. You have an active southern jet, and it might even get even more active as we get into 11 to 12 days out, which is very far out and really hard to take serious. But it's a time frame to watch. You might have a supply of cold air, and if you can have what we call the southern stream to get going, that means that you can have chances of moisture that kind of comes out the Gulf, or a low pressure that kind of rides in that area, interacts with the cold air, and you have an opportunity for a winter storm along the eastern U.S. But if you look at the ensembles through, 180 hours out, there's not really much of a signal for anywhere. But check out right here. This is that signal for that storm early next week, maybe for the Delmarva area. And but it's not that large. But I would not be surprised if that area sees some wet snow with the system coming up early next week. We'll talk more about that when we know more about it. And right now we just don't know a lot about it. So that's all I got, guys. I know that's very vague. It's not really a detailed video, but there's no details. Things are about to start to slow down, I think. So I'm going to have to kind of adjust to it getting slow, as I've been just balls to the wall the last month. But thank y'all for the amazing support during these active times. And you can go on and bet it's the weather. It's going to get active again. So stay tuned. More content to come. Love you guys. And y'all have a blessed and, more importantly, a safe night.